Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we got some numbers, and the numbers aren't good. It turns out that people are not watching Marvel stuff on Disney Plus in the numbers that they were expecting them to.
Shocker, I tell you.
I know, right? People are tuning out from comic book adaptations. And of course, we've got Daredevil here because Daredevil should have been a bigger hit, honestly.
I didn't watch it yet. I wanted to watch it. Honestly, I love the first one, but I have to not given enough crap to watch it.
That's kind of where I'm at with a lot of these shows. Like, I just don't care enough to watch them anymore. I'm really burnt out on it. And I'm burnt out on the drama around them.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest here. But we'll talk about this because these are verified numbers coming from Paranormal saying that people are not watching these shows like they were. And we'll also talk about how Marvel's making changes, that everything is going to be kind of street level from here on out on Disney Plus, that they're going to save the Avengers stuff for the theater. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, we're going to have the Punisher and Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
So, that's kind of interesting. Anyway, before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Got a couple of things to pimp here, guys. Go out to news.clownfishtv.com for more content. We got some paywalled content out there. We got some free articles out there. We do exist outside of YouTube, believe it or not. But check it out, news.clownfishtv.com. You still got some time yet to back these enamel pins. We're going to do some orc pins. Badorks.com at badorks.com. Orcs are a-holes doing some a-hole-ish stuff. So this is coming from The Wrap, and they got their info from Paranormal. And they said that they've previously shown that the share of new titles are based on existing IP has been declining in recent years. Might not seem like it because the movies and shows still account for an outsized share of audience attention. But they said that comics share as a source of material for new titles has nearly halved over the past 8 years.
No. But the industry's fine. You're lying. You're just a liar. Comicsgate, liar.
While the share of titles adapted from manga has grown,
this is all we've been telling you.
Other smaller sources of IP, like video games, have made up less than 5% of new IP-based premieres. Unsurprisingly, content based on existing material generates a larger share of revenue than the share of catalog it accounts for across the platforms. Okay, existing IP adaptations tend to be less risky.
Yes.
They come with built-in audiences.
But here's what happens. Another reason things are down is because you take these IPs that come in with a built-in audience, decide you don't want that audience, change everything about it to pander to a new audience, then call your old audience names, and then the new audience doesn't support it other than for, activism reasons, and then you have nobody, and you have very little audience left, and you ruin the IP.
Yeah. So they said, they're talking about literary adaptations, whatever. They said Disney Plus with a catalog full of expansive, it should be expensive, franchises and remakes was the platform with the largest share of titles based on existing IP. Nearly 50% of shows and movies were IP based. Over 60% of the platform's subscriber revenue came from these titles, underscoring the importance of it. On the other end of the spectrum is Amazon Prime, which was the only platform where fewer than 30% of titles were based on IP. Actually, Amazon, a lot of people watch Amazon, especially like Apple TV, because they have shows that are good that aren't really based on existing IP. But yeah, if you go out to the chart, you can see that comic book IP is definitely dropping while the manga, look at this, look at the manga line.
Yeah, but we could told you that. And then that manga is, obviously spun off into shows, which end up on these platforms, or they put them in the theaters. And then they're eating into the movies and stuff as well. And people are wanting to see this stuff more than they're wanting to see the superhero type thing.
Yeah. I
think there's just a lot of fatigue. And people are just tired of, it used to be you watch one a year and you keep up. Now you have to watch like 3 movies, 5 shows, et cetera, which is why Disney's trying to keep the Avengers, lines in the theaters while the other stuff's going to be on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, plus it's also expensive. I mean, it's expensive to do Avengers on the small screen, right? Mm-hmm. So this is coming from Game Rant. They said that Marvel's making drastic changes to the MCU TV shows, and I believe it's the right call.
Well, they honestly, it's short of stopping them entirely. They're good. That's the only thing they can do other than stop them entirely.
Yeah, I said Marvel's TV shows have never felt like they're quite on the same level as the movies, but they tried. Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, WandaVision. But according to industry insider Daniel Rickman, Marvel's going to be making its TV shows more grounded in the future, kind of like Netflix did. The shows will aim to be street level stories, and that's a massive change from what Marvel has been doing until now. However, it will freshen things up to ensure the television shows don't become stale.
Well, a little late for that, but
Sure,
you know.
Jan. So they're not just altering the television shows. According to the same report, Marvel Studios intends to save all of the significant events for Marvel movies. This will help make those projects feel more significant. What?
Well, yeah, because they were. Well, here's why. Because they were doing these big things in the shows, and then people would go to the movies only, and they'd be like, "Who are these people? Where did these characters come from? How the hell did we get here?" Because they didn't know, because it happened in a show on Disney Plus that you had to pay for Disney Plus to see, and a lot of people just didn't care enough to pay for Disney Plus to see it, or they weren't interested in the shows. Like, I'll invest 2 hours in the movie, but I'm not going to invest 8-10 hours on a TV series. And they would put these big things in there, and then no one knew what the hell was going on when they got to the movies.
Well, even Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, they kind of bleeds over into Loki. And
Yeah.
you know, if you didn't watch it, I mean, some of the movies I think were tanked because there was too much homework involved. I think Falcon the Winter Soldier, basically it's Falcon the Winter Soldier. The movie, Captain America 4, I think a lot of people didn't go see it because they didn't want to do the homework.
Well, that I still think they're like, why the hell is he in Captain America?
Yeah, where's Captain America, right? Yeah. But like, there's so many movies out there, and this is what could potentially hurt, I believe, hurt Doomsday and or Secret Wars, is if you have to have watched every damn TV show to understand what's going on with the multiverse and the timelines and the the sacred timeline, all that shit. That could hurt it. Mm-hmm. It could definitely hurt it. But
yeah, I was thinking that too, actually, with the timelines.
Yeah, because it's confusing as hell for normies. And why they did the multiverse stuff, I have no idea. I think it was way too
because
confusing.
then they could try to spin off characters and do new versions, or they could have a way to bring back other versions if that didn't work.
Yeah, that's just it. We can get younger, cheaper actors. We can just reset the universe whenever we want to. Because it's safe. I think really overall, though, what's going on is there definitely is superhero fatigue because there's too much subpar superhero content.
There's too much, even if it was good. I think there's just too much in general.
There's too much of it, and everything cycles, right? I mean, superheroes were like big in the 90s because of Batman, and then they kind of died off for a while, and then they kind of came back, kind of with the X-Men movies, and then that led into some other things.
Well, now the audience wants things like video game movies.
Yeah, that's it. They're chasing whatever. The studios are going to chase whatever's the next big thing. And they're like, oh, video games are more important to kids than comic books, obviously. And that's true, 100% true. There's no denying that. Like, people are like, why is the comic book industry dying? I'm like, because kids today aren't buying the monthly comic books. Kids do not buy comic books. They buy manga, if anything. And mostly they play video games.
And the audience you have that does buy it, you have gone out and alienated as much as you can. You've deliberately taken characters that have been beloved and were a certain way for years and changed everything about them, or changed the character completely to appeal to an audience who was never going to buy it to begin with. And then meanwhile letting your creators and letting, the media and even, other people just attack your fan base and call them names and stuff because they were complaining about the fact that you changed everything about what they liked. So you have no audience in that regard for the books, and everybody else switched to manga because at least manga, feels like there's stakes. Manga, you're not getting. They're more about a story than they are about pandering.
It's just wild. I mean, you can see the decline in. So it's happening in TV and movies. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's happening in the real world, which is Western comic book sales are declining as manga is skyrocketing.
Right. It's just, it's not surprising.
No, and it's over. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, not trying to be Debbie Downer about the Western comic book industry. And there's some good stuff being published, but the reality is that Western comic books don't have the appeal for the general public that they had before. Kids today are not
appeal to the youth. Them. Yeah. They're reading webtoons and stuff like that. That's what they're reading. Yeah. If they're reading at all.
Yeah, if they're reading at all. And a lot of times they're even watching like shorts that have recaps of, like dubs and stuff of comics and stuff. They're not actually buying or reading the comic books. And that's the truth. Things are moving on, and that's it. But pretty interesting stuff because, yeah, they were betting the farm on superheroes a couple of years ago. Now they're like, yeah, you know what? Video games. Manga.
You're going to talk about Punisher too? And Spider-Man?
Yeah. So the rumor is that John Bernthal is going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I think is I don't know. But
here's the thing about John Bernthal, though. He won't do anything of the character unless he thinks the character's the character. Like, he turned down coming back as a Punisher before until they gave him a version of it that he thought that was actually, correct, or was actually Frank Castle that he should be, and not just some, agenda driven whatever. And he wouldn't do it. So if they're putting him in here, it probably makes sense, or he wouldn't have agreed to it.
And people think that him being so insistent on keeping the character intact is why we got the Punisher logo back, why they're bringing Frank Castle back in the comics too.
I respect that. He's like, either keep the character as the character should be, or I'm not doing it. He's not just taking a paycheck, and I respect that. So if he's coming in, I don't know why they're bringing him a brand new day, but the fact that they are, it must be, he must feel that it's in character. He wouldn't do it.
Well, Punisher actually debuted in Spider-Man. So,
well, I know he's from Spider-Man.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's why they're bringing it into this, I don't know. But
but it's really interesting because
Daredevil always with Spider-Man too. A lot of times.
They're saying that they're going to try to make it more grounded, and I'm kind of wondering. I mean, will they put Daredevil in the next Spider-Man movie? I mean, if you could do a Daredevil Spider-Man Punisher team up, I actually, even though I hate the idea of them using Brand New Day as the title, I might buy a ticket just to see that, because I'd be like, okay. And he's got the actual Spider-Man costume and not the Stark Tech thing, because that whole thing happened. I might actually be interested in watching.
Well, I think the fact that they're bringing him into this makes me kind of wonder if they're not going to bring Daredevil into it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I'm kind of wondering. Because people respect.
Spider-Man was always like, it was weird because he was a street level hero, but he also would hang with like the Avengers and hang with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and whatever. So he was kind of like, everybody's friend, right?
Yeah, he was a cool kid in school that everybody hung out with everybody. Yeah.
But he was also a dweeb when he was Peter Parker. But like, he pretty much would hang out with everybody. But every time they needed a comic to get a boost, they would throw Spider-Man in for a cameo. Same with Transformers. And they never mentioned it again. Spider-Man was in Transformers in the miniseries. It's like, oh, look, it's Spider-Man. So you're thinking, oh, Transformers takes place in the Marvel 616, and then they just never go there again. It's just like, okay, Spider-Man was here, and now he's not. That's it. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.